Hey everyone, Looney here, and today we're going to go on a little bike tour. Not very long. I'm going to show you around a few of the bike trails and a few of the sites close around where I live here in this beautiful city. But first, before we do that, we're going to take a look at a few of the items that I take along on every ride and take a quick overview of my bike. So here we go. So first of all, let's have a look at my bike. I've had this bike for a few years now, and according to the app that I use to track my mileage, I've put about over 3,000 kilometers on this bike since I purchased it, and I've had many hours of enjoyment from this. A seat has been replaced. The original one that came with it was too hard, and I found this one. It's a little bit softer on my behind. It is an electric assist. I do have to pedal in order for it to work. I can't just press a button and drive, but it's fairly basic. It's very easy to use. Like I said, I put many miles on it already. So it's a giant, not giant software, but giant Explorer. Front suspension, hydraulic disc brakes. We'll be looking at replacing the disc brakes on this particular bike in a later video, so keep an eye out for that. I have also added a nice portable bike pump for those times when, well, you never know. I have had a flat once before, but unfortunately I didn't have the pump and it was a blown tube anyways, so I don't think it would have helped very much. Now, on to what do I bring on my rides. Over here, we have my gloves. Just a set of just fingerless biking gloves, kind of a little bit of padding in there. These are well used already. We have a little, a little fanny pack to put in my keys and my phone. We have some hydration, some water in an insulated container, which also fits nicely into here. And of course, my helmet, which actually works quite well. It's nice and ventilated. It has a little visor on there to keep the sun out of my eyes. I used to wear a cap, but it kept flying off. So now we have something that solidly attaches to my head. And there we have it. We are ready to go. As I was just riding this yesterday, the tires are all filled adequately, and the battery is charged up to its maximum capacity. We won't even come close to using all the battery today, but anyways, so I'm going to suit up and we'll meet you out on the trail. So for our first stop, here we are just onto the trail, one of many beautiful bike trails here in the city. This one being very close to my house, of course, and goes through some pretty nice areas, which we will stop along the way and point out and talk a little bit about each one. So off we go down the trail. We'll see you at the next stop. Here we are at our first stop here along the trail, and this is the Living Prairie Museum, established in around 1971 to preserve some of the last remaining uncultivated tall grass prairie in North America, and right here just down the street from me. So yeah, it's a very interesting. They have kept this as close to, well, to a prairie as they can, according to the sign here. And if you want to take a look at this and pause the video and read that, there's lots of interesting information about how the tall grass prairie in North America has slowly disappeared, and it is a very important of our ecosystem. So there you go. That's one stop on our trip, a little trip around the neighborhood. So we'll see you at the next stop. For our next stop, what you see behind me is the southern approach to our only airport in the city here in Winnipeg, the Richardson International Airport. Now, compared to other airports, it's not that big. However, it is fairly busy. Unfortunately, we don't have any planes landing. I think the wind is going the wrong way for planes coming. Usually we see them approaching from this direction, as you can tell by the lights. So often we see people here waiting for planes coming in and watching them land and so forth. So that's just a little bit of a view of the southern end of our airport. The trail continues on this way, and as you can see, people going by on their bikes. There's also the 17th wing of the Royal Canadian Air Force stationed here, of which we have several interesting airplanes on display, vintage. So maybe we'll go take a look at those. So here we are with one of many vintage aircraft here at the 17th wing of the local Air Force here at the airport. And I'm not going to take a whole lot of panning around, as it is a military installment and they might not take kindly to me videoing a whole lot around here. So we'll leave it at this, but many other airplanes, including these here, to see for the general public to come and walk around and take a look. For instance, this is, we'll take a look at the placard. The CX-144 Challenger gives all the history and the particulars. That's French. Sorry about the finger. So kind of really neat. So that's just one more thing you can see along this path, and I haven't really gone that far. And here we are, literally right beside where we just were, by where the planes were displayed. We have a little 9-hole golf course tucked in nicely into this little area between the main road and the airport. So something I pass by quite often, and many people enjoy this little golf course. So a little piece of paradise, shall we say, or another one within the city here. So on to our next point of interest. Our next spot here is this. This is a community garden. I'm not really sure how well it's, you see, there's a number of people have plots here, and we're literally right next to the golf course that's over to the far end there. You can see, kind of, you can see, well, you don't see any, it's just over there. And the sign has been up for as long as I can remember, so well over 100 years of this being in existence, and many of the local people here enjoying this plot of land here to grow fruits, or well, not so much fruits, but vegetables and other garden goods. So we'll carry on to the next, carry on down the trail to the next attraction. So here we are again, literally just down the trail, like a minute, is this, the Rods Football Club. And it says 60 years, but that was 1946 to 2006. So add another 20 years on there. And yes, we have a full-size football field that I often see football players and games. We actually have two of them, and here's one of the airplanes coming in. And landing at the airport. So yes, the airport is just over there. We have two fields here. So beautiful open green spaces for many to enjoy. So here is one of another of the recent additions to our bike path system. Here is designated lights, signal lights at the intersections and pathways along some of the roadways, so that's been really nice. And I often pass by here many times in the summer during my bike rides, and yes, it's made the roads much safer and much more comfortable to ride for, especially for those who are a little bit unsure or not too fond of taking their bikes on the road. So very nice, and many more of these coming up over around the city every year. So our next stop here is one of our many bridges over rivers here in the city. We have two major rivers running through the city, and that means a whole lot of bridges. This one, as you might see, is a rail bridge. And if we look over to our right, a couple of more bridges over there, another rail bridge. And this is the Assiniboine River. It's usually this low. Yeah, it's not very deep, but it comes all the way from the west, all the way here, just to dump into our Red River at the Forks, which is right downtown, just about. So off from here, we're actually not going to cross this bridge. We are going to go back, and we're going to try a little something. Hopefully I won't drop my phone. We're going to try a little neat part of the trail, and let's go see that. So here we are, just down from that bridge. Got a nice a couple of baseball fields out here. And as we pan over this way, we are going to attempt to go down this little hill here while holding my phone. Hopefully I don't drop it. So here goes. It's a really nice part of this trail. Kind of goes down to a really tiny creek that empties into the... Sorry about the shaking. Oh. And then back up. See, we have someone moving in here. Back up this little trail. There we go, that's better. A little unsteady on one hand. And there we go, we're out onto a residential street, which is actually beautiful. And they actually more or less close this down to most traffic. At least there's supposed to be not too much traffic. Traffic's only supposed to go for one block. And the entire street here, especially on the weekend, is full of bikers, kids, and people walking their dogs and pets. It's a really beautiful part of the city. There's some really big old trees here with giant canopies, trees covering the street. They're supposed to be going a lot slower than that, but it is a Friday. Everyone's in a hurry. And so there's a little bit about the trail. We're going to make our way down to the end of this street and go back over and start making our way back home. So here we're at one of our major bridges, another one of our major bridges here in the city. And again, here's the Assiniboine River, of which we just actually crossed not too long ago. So we're actually going to cross this bridge over onto another residential street. And this street has the, well, in my opinion, some of the most interesting houses you can see on one street. So we're going to go make our way down there. And that's another one of those streets that are typically closed for pedestrian and cycling traffic, at least on the weekends and in the summer. So we're gonna go check that out. so here we are just down from where we were, and as you can see here, yes, they've got the signs up. They've closed off the street, at least to non-residents, and we're gonna make our way down the street. For a little ride. As I said, we have a very interesting mix of housing here. Some modern style housing. We have some more period style housing. And as I said, modern. We have everything from old to new here on this street. This is Wellington Crescent here in Winnipeg. We're looking at the riverside, and here's one of the interesting houses that you'll see on this street. And this one is of particular interest. Looks like some kind of science museum or something, art museum, but that's a house right next to something that's more, let's say, Victorian style. And always something going on here. Lots of money on this street. We see something old like this. Oh, bump. Right next to what we just seen. So really interesting mix over here. Again, more construction, people building old styles, new styles, all kinds of things. You can tell there's some money over here. But all in all, it's always a very pleasant ride down here, especially with the reduced traffic. Sorry about the wind if you hear a lot of wind. It's never not a windy day in Winnipeg. So anyways, that's just a little bit of a taste of some of the interesting sights and sounds you can get just not too far from my house. So that road we were on has led us directly into one of our largest park in the city here, the Assiniboine Park. And as I pan to my right, here is one of our oldest bridges in the city. No longer a car bridge, just used now for pedestrians and cyclists. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go down the trail, because there's some beautiful trails here. I'll try not to fall over or drop my phone as I get on my bike. We got some very beautiful trails. And oh, here we go. So here we go, down a little dip. Now the river is, of course, obviously to our right. Hopefully I keep a handle on. There we go. Kind of hard driving this with one hand, but here we go through the forest. Lots of, not so many people here today, being a midday on a Friday, but often on the weekend you see many people walking down this trail. And you have to be careful not to run into people. To my left here is a flower garden. Very beautiful. Something we might go take a look at on another day. But just one of the things that you can drive through in the park here on your way through some of these trails. It's not a very long trail, and we'll pop out at the other end fairly soon. But as we continue down the trail, we're going to come up on, yes, here it is, the backside of the Leo Mole Sculpture Garden. Leo Mole is at least here and many parts of North America, quite a famous, well-known sculptor in his own time, passed on now a few years, but bronze sculptures of all sorts and kinds are displayed here in this little forested area. And out we come into, oh, there's the zoo, by the way. Yes, the Assiniboine Park. This Assiniboine Park Zoo is also attached to our park here. And as we see over to our left, Those are the horse stables. We have some horses here.
Good idea.
His horses here, and maybe not a good idea, but what the heck, we live dangerously. And so off do we go down the trail a little bit more, and just down here we have some picnic areas. And there's the river to our right. So I'll end it before I crash into something. So after a bit more riding, we have made our way down to this pathway here along a creek. This creek actually is the same creek that runs behind my house, and as a matter of fact, this trail here will lead us right back to my house. So we're going to go for a little ride, if I don't fall over, down this little trail along the creek. Lots of wildlife, lots of birds. We have a lot of geese this time of year hanging out with their little ones. It's a really beautiful part of the trail here. With sometimes we see beaver, muskrats, as I say, lots of different kinds of birds. Again, apologies for the wind. Hopefully that's not too annoying. Again, there's rarely a day without wind here in the Peg. And as we come around this blind corner, try not to disturb the pedestrians. And yeah, I go down here several times a week. Sometimes there's a nice cleared area. Someone's mowed the grass a little bit for people to enjoy. And yeah, just a beautiful part of the creek. And we're back. And I hope you all enjoyed that little tour of just a little bit around my fine little part of the city here. 24 kilometers round trip, about an hour and 15 minutes. And yeah, so, and I didn't even show you everything. So I hope you all liked it. And drop a like if you did. And before I go, remember, do what you love what you do. Till next time, bye for now.